G'day, it's Desley here and from Living Life Well on a government pension, and today I'd like to talk about and chat about 11 ways to overcome boredom as a retiree. So some of the main reasons that as a retiree we can become very bored is because we've got too much time in our hands. Unlike when we had our working careers and we got up in the morning, got ready, went to work, did a day's work or whatever the shift hours were, then came home and hopefully relaxed for the rest of the time. So too much time in our hands is a really challenging issue that I found as a retiree. The other, loss of work or social connections is a biggie as well. Yeah, because we're so used to being in work, we've probably worked like I worked for over 50 years, and I'm sure some people, retirees, have worked a lot longer than what I have, and we've had a routine. It also could be part of our identity, what our careers were, regardless of what we do in paid work. It becomes part of our identity. Also loss of social connection. You know, you go to work and you talk to colleagues hopefully and have a chat. You may have developed friendships at work, and they may fall away when you retire, or people don't keep up, you don't connect as often as what you naturally did whilst you're in your working life. But also family and friendships can change as well. As we grow older, we all know people pass away. It's a fact of life, and we can really miss those social connections and have to try and develop new social connections to help with our emotional and mental health well-being. The lack of finances is a big one on a government pension because it's a limited income. As I said in my Welcome video, in Australia it's a government pension. It means tested, and it's a fixed income, which is nice. You know that you've got pretty much got a guaranteed income on a fortnightly basis. However, I don't think there'd be very many retirees who say that they live a life of luxury living on a government pension, particularly if they don't have superannuation as a backup. So the lack of finances can, to a certain degree and to a large degree, in some cases, dictate what we can actually do in our retirement years. There's not enough hobbies or activities to undertake. You might have a range of interests, but again, finances might also dictate whether you can undertake them. So, for example, I love building Lego, but I can't, even though I do buy and been known to buy Lego sets from savings, I have to save up to buy the Lego settings that I'd like to build. Or in our working careers, we were so work orientated that we didn't develop a lot of interests or hobbies outside of the working environment, because sometimes it was like you work and you come home and you just kind of plop down and try and relax, and maybe we've got more time to do hobbies and interests, but we need to try and develop them and scramble around and think, well, what do I want to do as a hobby or as an interest that is cost effective on the government pension. Our mental health well-being can be a contributor and boredom can lead to depression, and depression can also increase boredom, so it becomes a vicious circle. And so maintaining our mental health well-being so that we feel we've got some get up and go, so to speak, in our day, and that's also because in many respects we kind of have to look for a new sense of purpose and meaning in our lives as retirees, and that is a process. It's not a sprint, and it can take many months. Being physically unwell is a huge contributor not only to our mental health well-being, but if we are housebound, then we're kind of limited in what we can do. So our mobility may be an issue as we age, or we may have a disability, which also means that we're housebound. It's all these do have a contributing factor. In many respects, physical health can also increase mental health, and mental health can then actually decrease boredom, which is a pretty good way to go about it. So what can we do as retirees? How can we overcome this boredom? I know for the first few months or so, I was so excited to be retired, and then boredom did set in, and it's been a real process since then. I've been retired now for 14 to 18 months. I did keep a little part-time casual job going for quite a few months after I retired, so I was kind of semi-retired, or more 3/4 retired, and so it's a process. I find that retirement years, it's not the end game, so to speak. Yay, working life is over, now I can have fun and retire. It's a process to find out what to do. So some of the 11 ways that I've come up with is having and developing a daily routine. Mine is my 3 muggachinos in the morning, and writing in my journal, and then having a look at Facebook and responding to messages, or scrolling through different Facebook groups I'm involved in, and reading what the latest news is there, and maybe making a comment or two. I don't make a lot of comments. I do suggest, if you are in Facebook groups, you don't become a keyboard warrior, because that can really put a lot of people off. So that's my morning routine, which can, depending on what I'm going to be doing for the day, can be reasonably short, or it can take a few hours, and that does fill in time. And it's not about just filling in time, it's about relaxing and feeling that there's a flow to your day. And I find having a morning routine helps me to become compos mentis for the day and start the day on a good foot. One of the other things you can do is connect with family, friends, or neighbours each morning, or each time I get up. And the neighbour, I live in a caravan park and in a manufactured home, and the neighbour opposite me, we quite often greet each other each morning just to say hello, and we don't always have a long conversation. It might be just hello, how are you today, and sometimes even just what the weather's like. Another neighbour I get on really, really well with, and we share road trips, as I call them. So if one wants to go out, we normally ask the other if they'd like to come along, and whoever wants to go out normally does the driving. So we actually share the driving between us, and we don't do a lot when we go out, but it's really good just to get out, as I call it, cabin fever, to get away from that cabin fever, even if it's only 10 minutes down the road to the local shops or the post office. And so it doesn't take a lot of money. It also shares the petrol costs, although we don't keep a tab on, I drove now, so it's your turn. It's just whoever wants to do whatever. being in a rural area on the lovely south coast of New South Wales, it's about 30 odd kilometres, half an hour's drive to any of the major townships with the shopping centres. So I call that a road trip. If I go to Sussex, in Sussex Inlet, which is a local township, I call that a mini road trip. And so it's actually just nice just to be able to do that. We also talk to each other, even if we don't go out. We'll always have a chat or two throughout the day just to see how each other's doing or comment on whatever's going on. Family, if you have grandchildren, it's great to connect with them and or catch up with family, you know, whenever you can, and friends. Like I've got a friend who I met as a work colleague, and we regularly talk on the phone. And last week she came down with her mum and we had lunch at a local club, which was really, really nice. A lot of my friends live intra or interstate, so I connect with them either via Facebook Messenger, or I might talk to them over the phone and have a wee chat. I tend to do that on a semi-regular basis. They've got busy lives to lead, and that's so. Not all of them are retired. Some are still working. Others are doing a whole heap of other stuff. But so it's a matter of just connecting, and it's really nice to keep that social connection. Try to learn one thing new each day. One of the things that I kind of set my mind to, and I do try to do this on a daily basis, is learn just something new each day. Like today, I'm learning how to use my Logitech webcam for this YouTube video. And so it was a matter of just listening to a YouTube video and going through the settings, because I haven't used it that much, particularly on my laptop. So my first video, welcome video, I didn't feel very happy with the grain with just the inbuilt camera of the laptop. So I decided to pull out the webcam and learn how to record using that. If you can, try to learn something new. It helps to keep the mind active. It helps to keep you interested in life. Even the news sometimes can teach you something new, or maybe a YouTube video, whatever you're doing. At the moment, I'm trying to learn how to properly set up a YouTube channel. So, and that leads me into it. We're never too old to start a YouTube channel. So I had a thought about it, and I thought, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on budgeting and finance and everything, and I thought, a lot of these, particularly the finance videos, are more geared towards young adults and to mature age adults, but not to retirees. And the question I asked myself was, because it was all up to leading to retirement rather than, oh, you've retired, but the only income you've got is a government pension. And it set me thinking, and I thought, oh, what do I really know? I'm not a finance expert. I don't hold a degree in finance. I can't actually advise really on finances as such. What do I know? Kind of bit of that imposter syndrome, if you know what I mean. And then I thought, why not give it a go? And that's the thing. You might have an expertise or an interest that you're interested in. Give it a go. And I listened to a video, and I can't remember his name. He was 80 years of age, and he has just set up a YouTube channel, and he was telling viewers about his process. Very engaging, very nice gentleman, and very clear and concise, which I'm not being, I realise. And one of the people he talked about was Cannel, and I listened to a few of Cannel's videos. I think it's Think Media, and he has a training session free that for seven mornings Australian time, or 7 days, for between 1 and 2 hours a day, on how to get your first 1,000 subscribers. And so I thought, well, why not? So you can get a lot of information on setting up a YouTube channel from YouTube. And what I'll do is I'll put in the description the 3 YouTube channels that this gentleman, and I'll find his video as well so you can watch it, and I'll try and put links in the description, or at least put their names there, so that you can actually go and check it out for yourself. Take up a hobby or an activity you've always wanted to do but never had the time to do. You might like gardening. Me, I've got a black thumb, but I do water the plants for my neighbour when she's away, which I find very interesting. And considering that I've got a black thumb and I rarely remember to water my plants, but I tend to remember to water her plants when she's away, which is good, because it's something to do, and that's my minimal expertise in gardening, is watering my neighbour's plants. But one of the hobbies I've taken up is trying to develop mobile apps on the Glide platform. You can get a free plan with Glide, and I'm part of Loku School. Now, anybody that I mention or like Loku School, it's free. I'm not being paid. I do recommend it if you're into developing or want to develop a mobile app. Check out the Glide platform. They do have a free plan. They also have paid plans. My suggestion is start out free, see whether you like it, and that I've developed some for friends, and I've learned heaps. And in Local School, Marco, he has a weekly Q&A that I've set my mind to try to attend each week, even if I don't have a question, but to listen to people's questions. And his expertise is just absolutely mind-blowing, to say the least. But it's a whole community, so you can listen to that for free. He also does on a weekly basis, he has where he shares his screen and he develops an app, or he's developing a plug-in for the app, for a Glide app. And that's very interesting. One thing I learnt last week was, it was really just like a comment that he said, well, when you're thinking of developing a Glide app, and you're scratching your head as to what to do, just what if I could do this and this and this? Wouldn't it be fantastic if I had an app, a mobile app that could do whatever? I've developed a grocery app which I regularly use for my shopping, and it's based on the Aldi store, one of the main Aldi stores that we go to. I can look at it beforehand and to check my list and everything like that. I can prepare my list, my grocery shopping list, on the app. I have the prices from the last time I shopped at Aldi, so I know what the prices are. So before I even hit the store, I've got a pretty good indication of what my grocery bill is going to be for that fortnight. And then I can use it as I go around the store, and it's a good way not to have bill shock. And I just developed that from one of the free Glide templates in their template store on the Glide platform. So anyone can do it. If I can do it, anybody can. Lego is another hobby of mine, but it does cost money. But I try to save up for it. And I can spend hours just involved in building a Lego set. I only do it when I feel like it, but that's basically what I can do. Volunteer for a community organisation, you know, sometimes it's about getting out and about and meeting people and just having just that little bit of structure to even one day a week or a few hours a week. And I had to think about this. Well, I didn't have to think about it, but I did think about it for quite some time, because I didn't want to volunteer in any of the major townships if I could get away with it, because I'd have to pay for the petrol to and from, so it's like a 60-kilometre round trip. So I kind of set myself the guideline to volunteer in a local, in my local community in Sussex Inlet, and I hummed and hawed and I looked at different community organisations and everything, and then I thought, oh yeah, look, I will do this. And I popped into the Pre-Loved bookstore, which is run by the Lions Club, and just asked, do you need any volunteers? They said yes, took my name, and then a few days later a lovely lady rang me and asked me to pop in and fill out the form, which I did on Monday. And I was invited to just pop in any time until I get a regular time to learn their process and what they actually do. And the benefit of that is I got asked in the phone call, would I like to become a member of the Lions Club? And I said, well, how much is that going to cost? And she said, no, we cover the cost for you for being a volunteer. So the extra bonus is I get to eventually become a member of the Lions Club and go to their meetings and meet and greet, and also volunteer at the Pre-Loved bookshop. So it's ticked a few boxes for me. Maybe go for a walk or a swim. I'm very fortunate. There's a swimming pool in the caravan park, and I also live 10 minutes from the beach. Now, walking is not my thing, but some people, like I was talking to a lady the other day, and she regularly walks her dog and has coffee at a local cafe. And so maybe, and she does that each morning. And maybe you can't afford the coffee, but you may be able to just take the pet for a walk, each morning, set at a particular time. If you enjoy walking, and the dog normally has to be walked anyway, so that's a good way to get out in the fresh air and get a little bit of exercise at the same time. Or do some other physical activity if you like, and you can, and see whatever takes your fancy. One other thing to do is, just because you've retired on a government pension doesn't mean that you can't obtain some casual work or a small part-time job. And I've decided that I'd like a little part-time job just to get me out of the house and about, meeting new people and hopefully developing new skills, and get a little bit of income or extra money as a result. So I've applied different jobs, haven't heard anything. That's okay. But a job came up. A local pizza place put a post up on Facebook wanting a worker. So I put my hand up, and tomorrow I go and so I'm really excited, really. I go and meet the owners, and hopefully I'll have a new job. Learn a new skill. Yeah, there's nothing like learning a new skill. In getting proficient at it. So my new skill at the moment is how to set up a YouTube channel properly, and I'm doing it for free. So you may be able to learn a new skill for free. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you have to pay. in order to learn a new skill. YouTube have plenty of informational videos, and you can read books. I'm not a big reader. I used to be a big reader. I'm not a big reader these days. Listen to music. I like watching or listen to podcasts. You know, YouTube videos. YouTube doesn't have to be, it can be for entertainment as well as instructional or educational, so it's entirely up to you. I'm a little bit eclectic, and YouTube, if you have a YouTube account, you'll realise that it, in the search, it brings up different ideas or different videos that you might be interested in watching. And one of the things that I haven't given away as a retiree is my Netflix account. I love Netflix. I love binge watching Netflix. I've been known to do all-nighters on watching Netflix shows and episodes and that, so I find it much more interesting than just normal free-to-air television. However, I will occasionally watch different free-to-air shows as well, and so doesn't mean that sometimes you just feel like being a couch potato, and quite frankly it's quite okay to be a couch potato every now and again. And lastly but not least of the 11 ideas that I've come up with is pop onto Quora.com, that's Quora.com, and lots of people have asked a lot of questions and others answer questions. So depending on what your hobbies, your interests or your expertise is, you may want to pop onto Quora.com and answer some questions in your field of knowledge, and or even ask questions and get other ideas. So I'd like to leave it there at the 11 ways that I've come up with for overcoming boredom as a retiree. I'm sure that there are many others, and I would really encourage you to leave a comment on what strategies and what ideas that you have to overcome boredom as a retiree, regardless of where you live in the world. And hope you have a great day. Please be kind to each other, and I look forward to chatting to you in the next video.